And you'll notice how overnight, a consensus was formed that being pro-Ukraine is the correct position. There was virtually no media outlet that was willing to offer a counter position. At best, you would see, well, let's wait for more, let's maybe be neutral, but you would not see a pro-Russia position or an anti-Ukraine or anti-NATO position. It just didn't exist. You had people on the left, people on the right, all coming together saying that we have to support Ukraine, that Russia's the enemy. They were activating this boomer tier Cold War nostalgia. You had members of Congress, posing with this flag, this disgusting hybrid flag they'd created. There was a mixture of the American flag and the Ukrainian flag. And the average American held the position that Ukraine was good, but also has no idea where it is on a map, of course, but also has no idea what our interests are in that country. They just think back to, oh, I saw Red Dawn. I played a video game one time where the Russians were the bad guys. So I guess they really are the biggest threat to my freedom instead of my own government, which actually is the case. We're only now calling it Ukraine. I mean, I even remember, and I'm sure you do as well, and much of the audience remembers, that forever it was referred to as the Ukraine, because Ukraine literally translates to borderland. It exists as a border region between the two competing powers, which of course are the European Union and NATO, and then Russia. So if you're a borderland and a neutral nation, your job is going to try to be, at worst case, amicable with the two competing countries who are, on sharing your borders, because you don't want there to be a situation where one country feels as though you're cozying up to the other country so much because you're going to put them in a tough position where they might have to, invade you or something. And so what's happened basically is a systematic expansion of the NATO territories eastward, integrating formerly Baltic states, which of course were a part of the Soviet Union, to a point where now they're literally trying to integrate Ukraine and have the borders of Russia be touching NATO's borders, which would then create a situation where you have missiles that could reach Moscow on the borders with Russia. And so Russia obviously doesn't want this. And we've also been breaking our promises because we told them that we wouldn't expand an inch eastward. That was the quote. And we've broken that promise over the course of a few decades. And Russia now feels as though it's in a situation where Ukraine poses a genuine threat to their national security, which isn't just because it exists as a border region that's now going to potentially be occupied by NATO, but also because Ukraine's government has demonstrated that they are willing to act as a proxy force for the globalist American empire, it's being called, because they had a pro-Russia, or at least Russian sympathetic government in 2014 that was toppled by a coup that was sponsored by the United States State Department and NATO, which took out that government and installed a frankly illegitimate government that is basically a puppet force for NATO and for the United States. And so that's the government that has been very anti-Russia and has been flirting with the idea of joining NATO. They refused to re-sign the agreement saying that they were going to be, friends with Russia. And so they're really putting Russia in a tough position. And so Russia is just doing this, I think, as a defensive measure, which of course people in the West can't understand because they view all conflicts as though they're through the lens of a superhero movie where there's this bad guy who's just crazy for no reason and he just wants power. And then there's the heroes who are the good guys who don't do anything wrong and they want to beat the bad guys. Yeah. And this is like what the constant fixation on media has done to how people perceive geopolitics. It's like a child's understanding of the whole situation, but that's why they talk to us like we're children, right?